sketchyGOichie.
Okay, we are back with our funky little chicken for the culinary challenge. So I am going to get all the way up into the color stage of this project. And just to recap, we have, let me show you what's going on here in Procreate. We have our layer, our bottommost layer, which essentially is, we're going to rename that background color. Okay. We have our a little rough sketch. It's probably pretty faint now at this point because if you click on the end, you have the opacity. Okay. That's how you change the opacity. It's right there on that little N. All right. So we have our rough layer. We have our line art layer, which is the entire chicken render. I don't know if anyone who's seen the previous video, part 1 of this sketch, we'll see I've added some little touches to it, kind of adjusted the proportions of it just slightly, and the knives themselves are on their own layer. I merged them to be on their own layer, and you will see why later. Okay. Also want you to notice that the line is not black. It is kind of like a deep dark blue. I'd like to have a little bit of color in my line, and so I am going to start with that for this particular portion of the show. Okay, so hopefully this is zoomed in enough that you guys can see it pretty clearly, and we are off. Alright, so we're going to start on the line art layer, which essentially is the entire bird, our culinary chicken with his little chef's hat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a selection around just the body of the chicken. We're going to start with that. So here's our little selection tool. I am going to render a line. I'm going to zoom way in. Notice how I can pick up. I can start that line and pick up, and then get back in, and pick up and get back in. I think whenever you're drawing selections around anything, do them in little bursts, little sections. Don't do big sweeping areas whenever you can avoid it, unless you're really confident you're around the outer edges. I'll show you. The reason why I say that is because if you do it in little sections, if you make a mistake, say you go in here, you can double click, or should I say 2-finger tap, and it brings you back to your previous point. And so if you do little incremental ones, it's easy to go back to that previous point. Because I've done it where I went all the way around the shape, all the way around, right? And then made a mistake at the very end. And then went to double tap it, and I lost all of that selection area, all that selection work. I just lost it completely. So that's why I would highly recommend just get in there, click the area you want, stop, move around, stop, go in tight, stop, get to a point you want, stop, and then I'm confident I can go all the way around here, stop, oops, that's very sensitive. Alright, let's get in here, stop, same thing here, and as you can see, if it will allow me to, there's your end, there's your starting point, and you just click there, and that has made a selection. Hopefully it's coming out on camera. You can see kind of like everything on the outer part of it is selected. Everything within this sort of these lines is selected, which is just the body of the chicken. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a 3-finger swipe downward, and I'm going to copy and paste it. So that's I'm going to label it chicken body, so we know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to label it chicken body line. Okay, and so now that chicken body line, it's in that deep blue, as you can well see. So I will go over here to this little wrench looking icon, and in that you have these lists, this sort of sub window We have add, canvas, share, video, preferences, and help. If you, let's see. So if you want to add, you can add and do all the things you want to do there. Actually, what I really wanted to do is this adjustments pull-down menu, and in it you have hue, saturation, and brightness. This is like your best friend. So let me zoom in a bit. So again, this is that deep dark blue. I can lighten it, as you can see here. Right. So when I lighten it, you notice it kind of you can see that it's just a lighter version of blue. I can saturate it, which will increase the intensity of the color. I can change the color. This is the key. Change the color here. As you can well see, all the way through the whole range of colors. I can pull it over to a browner color and darken it. And note, now I have a sort of darkish brown for the line. And that is that. Click back on there. Oops. And you see, now we have a brown line. You get it? You see the power of having like a little bit of tone in your outline if you intend to color it. All right. Same thing goes for these guys. If I wanted to at this point, because the hat is connected to the chicken body on here, I can literally just change this and it will change the line art on the hat as well as the chicken, which is underneath the chicken body line. Seems confusing, but hopefully it's not. The reality is all I have to do is click on this guy, right? Make sure he's selected. Go over to our little magical adjustments window, hue and saturation, and again I can play with the brightness. That, I almost just have to do that because I want it's going to be white, so I want to have sort of a bluish outline on there, which I think would be nice. I'm going to do a similar effect to the knives as well, right? So this is the knives. As a matter of fact, I'll even rename it. We'll call it knives line art, or knives line. Okay, and so again, our magical hue and saturation. I'm gonna zoom in so we can see it really nicely, hopefully. And maybe I'm gonna go a bit darker is black, a bit lighter is blue, almost all the way to white, as you can see, which is kind of cool. Notice how you can kind of knock something out if you push your brightness all the way to white. And by knock out, I mean convert a line that's really dark into one that is white on a darker surface, which is super helpful. This is a little trick I think you guys could use. And for me, I want a blue, but I want a less saturated blue. So when you take away the saturation, you increase the intensity of the color. When you take away all the intensity of color. Essentially, you drain the color out of the line or whatever you're choosing to desaturate. And so for here, I like a nice gray, maybe a touch darker, and that will be that. I'll even go in further. We'll grab our little sort of lasso tool. At least that's what I would call it in Photoshop. And I'm going to select out just the blade part of it. So I'm going to split the difference on this line here. Just the blades, because I want to give them a slightly more bluish. Again, I'm just splitting the difference between here because I want there to be a little bit of line on the handle. That is the color that I just created on that line, that sort of desaturated blue-gray. And then I want a little bit of the line on the right here to be the blade. And I'm gonna have a slightly more bluish color for that. Okay, so I've selected that. Again, 3-finger swipe down will bring you this little copy and cut and paste window. So I'm gonna copy and paste that. If you notice, it's automatically on top. I can choose to rename it. I'll call it knife blades. All right, we hit return. So now that's on its own layer. Again, magic, hue saturation. I want to saturate it a bit more, and I want to lighten it. so it's starting to pick up the blue. See? Maybe not as light. I can even play around, get into the color. You see how it could change from blue to green to whatever I want. I still want it in the blue range. And all the way saturated, maybe just a touch lighter for that. Okay? So that's all our line art. All the different colors. Suppose if I wanted to, I can go in and merge all of these. But the thing at this point, it's not hurting anything for all these extra layers to be in there. I should have mentioned when I started the video that essentially this video, I think this image, this canvas size is 300 dpi. When you increase the dots per inch, the dpi, for any one of these individual canvases, it lessens the amount of layers you can use. But for 300 dpi, 8.5 by 11 size, I've got a number, probably 20 something, or at least 20 different layers that I could work with here. So there's really no point in me condensing the layers down at this point. Unless you just, for workflow, unless you feel more comfortable and quicker just to zoom them all together as one and then create a new color layer underneath, you could do that as well. Another option in that case, believe it or not, is, let me show you this while I'm at it. While this one is selected, you can copy, duplicate, and delete, that's an option, or you can pull in this direction to the right. So just drag your finger to the right. You notice how it's just darker blue to the right, okay? And they're all connected, and you can create a group. Now they're all within a group. So whenever I deselect it, they all disappear. They're all together in a group. There's group actions you can do now with these. They're all combined. You can also duplicate that group. So now I have two groups of the same collection of lines in different colors. Deselect one of them. I can take this guy right here and merge them all so that they're one, and just pull them out of the group and delete the group. So now all these multicolored line art is all on one layer. So I can essentially render underneath these. Here's the great trick. This one I picked up from Let's Draw with BJ Dell. Got it right this time. On YouTube, check it out. Reference layer. I believe it will work with this. So you select your line art, right? You click it, you press on it once, it'll give you this list of options, and within that is called reference. Watch what happens now. I'll create a layer underneath, totally new layer. As a matter of fact, I'll even label it flat color. All right. So you see, so we now have our line art reference layer and flat color underneath. I am going to select a sort of a orangey brown. This is going to be the chicken color, basically the chicken skin color. Select one that's kind of close to what I want. I can always adjust it in with our magical little magic wand. This is kind of about the color I want. Check this out. You just grab it, boom, fill that whole area in. It's like an eyedropper in Photoshop. And notice how it's perfect, literally perfect to the line, even the elements that are within the line. As long as the shape is fully contained, like the wing is. Well, apparently that is not. Look how simple that is. Same thing goes for, let's say I want to select, I'll select a white just for now, for the hat. See, fills that in. Let's see what else would be white. These little circles probably would be white. See, just zoom right in, and literally just, all it is just one finger, drag it and drop it into that open area. Same thing here on these little rivets that are on the handle of the knife, the chef's knife. Right? That's that. The blade, select sort of like a metal color, but I'll add a little blue to it. just to kind of give it some life rather than it being just pure gray. Same thing applies. Oops, sorry. Okay. And obviously I can go back in afterwards and add my shadow and highlight, but if you notice how quickly that is, and then the handle's probably a darker, yeah, I'm going to do it in a darker bluish gray, deeper, darker bluish gray, maybe even darker than that, and a little more on the blue range here. This is the beauty of having this sort of this disc thing. You kind of change the sort of the global color, get it into a little more purpley, in the more purple zone if I wanted to go on this side, which I kind of do. Yeah, maybe not that purpley. I don't want it to be so bright. So I'll find a level in here. I'll move this around so I'll find the level so it mixes kind of the black with that color, that global color. I don't want it to be that intense, so I'm going to kind of go in the gray zone, but deeper and darker. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's more what I'm looking for. All right, and then see how it's filling in? Right, perfectly. Right in there. In that sort of those open shapes that are left. And that's what that reference layer does for you. It's a beautiful thing. Ooh, I found a little random guy. Let's see where he is. Yep, it's in the line art layer. Okay. Okay, so here is the flat color. I can manipulate, adjust this color any which way I want at this point. I can leave this as a reference layer. I like to take it off because I may want to use a reference layer for another. You can only use, as far as I know, only one reference layer for one line art layer. In other words, you can't do multiple reference layers. I don't think the app can determine that. I don't know. I haven't played around with it enough. Leave a comment and let me know if I'm wrong on that. All right, so I've got our sort of basic colors. So I've got our flat. This is another fun feature. I add a layer on top, so I want to get into the shading. Okay. What I do with that layer is I create a clipping mask. So what that does, and I've described this in many videos, it will only allow me to render within the shape here. So I'm going to select this color here because I'm going to start on the chicken, and I'll select what I want for the shadow color. I need it to not be so gray so that it looks really dull. You know what, actually, I'm going to do a global shading color. So in this one, I'm going to have I wonder if it's wiser for me to go cool on this one. Yeah, I'm going to go cool. So I'm going to select like a blue. You can always change it. Again, guys, you can always change anything. But dark. Almost black. Okay? So I'm going cool. Like it's just overall, it just doesn't really matter because you're going to see I'm going to lower the opacity. All right, I'm going to select my brush. I'm still using my technical pen. Oftentimes when I color, I switch over to the studio pen. I've altered it to be a bit thicker, and it'll do bigger strokes. So I go up, and so when I pull a line, it's about yay big for that size. But if I go all the way, max, gotta pull this big massive stroke. But I want you to notice something. I can't color outside of there. I'm bound. See? Any color I do, it's bound within that shape. No matter what I do, it's bound within that shape. So it's something to bear in mind about the clipping mask. It's what I like about it. All right, so let's start. I'm going to start coloring. Choosing a light source that is upper left. So everything will be at its darkest. Away from that light source, just so you know. And so I'm going to do a little quick color pass. The thing about these color passes to bear in mind is you can always go back in and erase sections of it to make it nice and clean. But for me, I like to do a nice little quick color pass, just kind of get. And you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that's a weird color to use as a shadow. I'm going to show you why it's not so weird in a second. But look how chunky that this studio, what was that called? This studio pen is really chunky, fat color. I'm sorry, flat ink that it's laying down, digital ink that it's laying down. Right, and it does a nice sharp taper too at the end. I've got it set so it has a nice sharp taper. Okay. So again, this is just selecting that light source. Everything, everything away from there will be its deepest shadow. Something to bear in mind. Let me give you some shadow on that side too. Alright, that's just a rough. And now so you think, oh, what an odd color selection for a shadow. And I get that. I would think the same as well. But check this out. Go in here to our trusty opacity and draw it down. And now, now all of a sudden that's looking a little more like a decent, anyways, shadow color. And I picked a bluish one for this reason. So if I want to go in, again, still in the same layer, and I want to add shadow to our, zoom in, to our hat, I don't have to change my shadow color. Now there will be situations where you'll need to change your shadow color. You'll want a warmer shadow in certain sections, or cooler, but I like to have like a global sort of universal color. For one, it's much faster, way faster to have one color rather than have to go into each individual section and to put a new warm color for the bird, another color for the hat, another color. It's much easier to do it that way. So that's why it is like so. So I'm gonna give this a little more shadow. But again, you can see how it pulls a nice clean shadow, which I love. I don't know how much light would be cast over there, but there's probably not a lot of light would be cast on that part of the bone. Something here. I'm sure the hat would cast a little shadow as well. Maybe something down the center here. Here's what I was talking about, the eraser. Just take your eraser and go back in. Take away the parts that you don't want. And clean up the line as well, as best you can. You can even add like little effects. Like so. If you like. Okay. With the some little holidays in there. Oops. Make sure I got the proper tool selected. And I don't. There it is. Okay. Alright, what's going on? Studio pen, brush. Not quite sure why I'm pulling. Oh, that's why, because I had that selected. No, it's not why. What did I do? Anyway. Very peculiar. I'll have to figure that out. Why all of a sudden I lost my shadow color. Oh, you know what? Let me hold this down. There he is. He's back. That's another little trick. I lost my shadow color for a second there. I think I must have inadvertently clicked on that color and selected it. But it'll default back to the previous color if you just hold it down. So look, I hold it down, brown, hold it back down, and you get that bluish color that I selected. So my guess is when I was monkeying around with that eraser, I kind of got that selected. So So cleaning this up, getting rid of all those irregular shapes, adding some where I just deem fit. Like so. And then converting back to the shadow. Oops, not too much. Alright, actually I'm pretty happy with that. Again, these are not meant to be in a museum. Put a little shadow under here. Make sure this is nice and smooth. Then I can also do the same for the blades here. Yeah, it may require bringing down the size of the brush to contain it within that line. You can always undo. That double finger tap is your best friend, trust me. And holding down is a great option as well. So let me try this again. Hold it down, makes a nice curve. And of course, whatever I don't like, I can erase away. So I don't like the way it goes into the corner here. See? Zooming in. And I don't like that little extra little area there. And I see I have a little holiday that I missed right there. Very easy to correct that, as you well can tell. And the thing about it, I have a bit more streamline in this studio pen. Let me show you. We go over the stroke, so it's a little bit more streamlined. The higher you do streamline, the more the app is doing the work for you and keeping your lines nice and smooth. So keep the streamline fairly low, 20 or less. It's just a comfort level thing for me. It's not that I mind that the app is doing the work. It's just I prefer to kind of keep control of that, unless I'm doing lettering or something like that that requires really deep control. And that streamline is extra helpful when I'm doing custom letter forms. Alright, so there's the start of that. I don't think this same color is going to work for here because I've made the opacity so low, so I may have to play around with the shadow on the blades. Maybe I'll do it in highlights rather than in shadow. But so anyway, so that's kind of like the starter shadowing for this here. Obviously, same rules apply when you want to add a highlight layer. I'm going to do a simple highlight layer. You can select pure white if you like. It's probably or you can add a touch of color to it, so that way you can manipulate the white to add more saturation to it. So say I added a little touch of yellow to it, just the tiniest touch of yellow. It's still pretty white. Let me get away from the grays, because it's going to make the color muddy. The closer you are to the gray, the muddier the color. Alright, so there's a little touch of yellow in it. You can do a lot of yellow, but I want to keep it mostly white. Okay. So again, it's a clipping, because I put it in between the flat and that shadow color layer. I've got the clipping mask created another clipping mask. So again, it's going to be contained within the silhouette of this shape. So for example, I cannot color beyond. It will not allow it. Alright, so bring this down a touch. Say there's your highlight. You can make it more intense if you like, or less. It's completely up to you. eraser. What's good about that is that this highlight color is not going to affect the shadow because it's on its own layer. It's a clipping mask, but it is still on its own layer, which is really helpful, particularly when you want to edit. Alright, like so. Just simply go back in with the eraser and make this a little more the way I want it. As you can see, I'm just going to quickly go through these. Yeah, I don't need one on that side. Just a little touches here and there, just to give it some depth. Keep that same yellow. If I want to, I'd probably go white, straight white for that. What's it gonna hurt? Nothing. That's the answer to that. You know, again, light source would be upper left, so it's gonna catch. Light's gonna catch those areas. If I wanted to, which I do, this is pretty pure white, so I think it feels like it's catching. Probably optically, it's feeling like it's catching. It's not as intensely white optically. Anyways, that illuminates that. You know, maybe I'll find a tone that is not quite as white, but not quite as dark as that. It's kind of a medium gray. To create the highlight on here. It's really intense. It's intense little area to bring color into. Again, whenever I overextend, which I have here, always go back in with the eraser. Take away the areas where I don't want it. So it's kind of like this toggle back and forth between the eraser and the pen whenever you're doing these. It's like a dance between both tools, and you'll find the best brush sizes in time. You'll find the best specific brushes that you want to use and settings you want to use on said brushes. Over time, you're gonna figure out what you like, and you're gonna figure out that kind of your workflow of how you want to go back and forth between the two. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. If you're learning the app, of course. All the veterans, they know. They already got it all figured out. Again, I don't mind going over because I can just come back in, eraser. Take away the areas that I've either overextended or underextended. It's really easy to do. And that's kind of like the basics. The basic color render on this guy. Probably will add just some more little flavor touches here and there. So I've selected this color again. Going to quickly put some extra stuff, just the stuff that makes these things fun, the little extra little texture things, and it's really kind of what makes a lot of this stuff look fun, is when you throw in all this little extra render stuff. I think, anyways. At least it's been my experience. Wish I could figure out why this is looking so gray. It's got to be because of the background. But it's pure white. I'm reckoning if it's kind of cool, actually, that it doesn't appear to be pure white. Let me select my pure white again. See what happens. Yeah, see, it doesn't take it away. And I'm on a highlight. And I'm on a highlight layer. Thing is, I'm underneath. Perhaps that's why. What if we take the highlight layer? Aha. So that way we can, the highlight is on top of, I don't like this stuff over here. Much at all. To be honest with you. I suppose I could put another highlight in this sort of center seam. Yeah, I don't think I need to. And then some little texture stuff. Maybe some more texture stuff on the shadow layer. So anyways, I gotta make sure I select. Oh, yeah, that's right, I've changed my color a couple times now. Tricky. Yeah, it's only gonna select it because as is. What to do? You know, let me do this. Take this. 100% in. See it? Select it. So now I have that blue. You know what? Here's another little trick. You've got a color that you really like that particular blue. I don't need any of these, so I'm going to replace this one. Just hold it. And now it's set. Now that color that I selected here is now part of this palette. So I can go back to it now without worry. Bring down the opacity again. About there. And now I can color render with it again on that particular clipping mask layer. So, fill some stuff. Let me bring the highlights back. So that stuff doesn't work well without seeing our highlights. Maybe I'll do some of this feather and stuff. Why? Because we can. Can't hurt, right? Well, I guess it can hurt in theory, but we're not gonna let it hurt. And back to the shadow layer. Alright, so I spent kind of a long time on this one, more than but hopefully you guys are getting the kind of the basic workflow stuff that we need. That makes this really simple little culinary guide go. For me, last step I always add is I love an outer outline. Someone had made a comment somewhere, I can't remember if it was on Facebook or within my this YouTube channel about outline, outer outline. It's really just a style thing. It's no more than that. This sort of outer. It will help if you're doing this graphic for a t-shirt or for a poster or something to separate in the production process, to separate. Say this was on a black t-shirt. I'll show you for example. I'm gonna add a new layer, select black, and fill it with black. He actually still pops pretty good, actually as is, which is kind of cool. But I like to add a little outline layer as well. The best way, as suggested in BJ's video, is to probably bring all this into Photoshop and literally just create a stroke in Photoshop, and it'll be perfect around this entire shape. I don't mind doing a hand rendered one. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it'll serve to show you the effect I'm going for. So as always, underneath the flat color, add a new layer. We'll name it outline. Okay, So it's just an outer outline. It's underneath everything, so it's not affecting anything. Color-wise, just for now, we'll pick this color. Yeah, it's kind of a fleshy, not even a fleshy, it's kind of a really pale color. But I'm gonna change it if I need to. I select the brush I want to use. I mean, I can use any of these. I can use fine. It doesn't really matter. I'll pick my fine tip brush and zoom it up, or zoom up on the size of it. And because you can click and hold, and it'll kind of adjust the line and make it really smooth. That's just kind of what I do. I kind of go around the outer shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, but see how it adjusts and smooths out and becomes a little closer to perfect. That's the, oh, by the way, that's the fine, sorry, drop that curve. That, let me show you guys. That's the fine tip. I believe this is in the basic set. Fine tip. That's what I'm using to create this outer outline. Okay, and again, if I hold down, it adjusts. That's a touch thicker than the other line. So I'll just go a little closer. I don't mind if it's a little touch thicker in areas, but not in this case. And again, it's a similar process to what we did when we were doing the selection. Remember, I had you guys do it or I suggested you guys do it in sections rather than going one line all the way around. The reason being is I mess up at any point, which I'm sure I will and have. It's very easy for me to adjust it. You know, so I drew that line, I don't like it. I can double tap again. Or if I do this line, this, all the way around here, and then I mess up over here, guess what? I lose all of that along the way. And that could have been perfect. Alright? So I just do it in sections. And I allow the comfort of the line to determine when to stop. So I get to a point where I'm at the end there, and I see how it kind of wiggled a little bit. It's probably a little too far. But for these purposes, we'll just continue to render. And again, sometimes it's thicker and thinner in some points. If you want a perfect line, you would have to do it in Photoshop, I think, would be the way to go. See right there, that would have been a good example. I like that line, but I didn't like the end of it. So just by me not making one single outline around the whole thing, it allowed me to kind of go back and just select and change that one section. It's funny, this is a really random color. I think I created it to do flesh tones when I'm rendering, and I kind of like it against this medium gray, which is really weird. I didn't expect to like it. And sometimes, sometimes I just allow the original line to be the line. Sometimes just organically I create a line that's better than the corrected line if I hold it down. So you just release that, and it goes back to your original line, or you two-finger tap, and it'll get you back to the line that you hand rendered rather than the one that was kind of adjusted by the app. So again, so I can stop there. One thing I like about this fine tip pen, it's a consistent brush stroke size. Brush stroke size is consistent, meaning there's not a lot of thick and thin to it, if at all. So what that does is it allows me to make this kind of consistent outer line. And by the way, I'm doing this way slower than I normally do. I usually just kind of bang around this thing, but I just kind of want you to be able to see the process on how I do it. Again, that's got a little funky edge, so just two-finger tap gets me back to where I started. All right. See, we've almost closed out. And also notice how I'm tilting the canvas as I go. It's just to find a comfortable position for my hand to make these curves. That's all that's about. There, and that's the outer line for that. And then I'll do the outer line for the knives. So just pick a starting point. See what happens when that's another facet of not breaking the curve into segments, comfortable segments. Unless I hit it perfectly the first time, I have to stop. So I go to there, Go to there, I'll move the canvas around. Stop there, back down. I'm kind of focusing heavily on this because it's very similar to how I do the actual inking, and I'm not sure in part one of this that I really got into the inking technique, but it's kind of how I ink stuff. I kind of move the canvas around, and I also ink in little sections. Just kind of build it up gradually. It's kind of how I do it, and I think it's probably how most people ink. You know, there's nothing unique or special to the way I'm doing it. Of course, if you want a long straight surface, you just pull that line and hold it in place. It's great for long straight surfaces, or should I say long straight outlines. Right? And just keep tilting the canvas around, upside down, any which way you need to find that your comfort zone. And then stop, and then redo the stroke. And again, don't be afraid to go beyond stroke if need be, because you can always go back in with the eraser. I'll show you here. As I've gone beyond the stroke, right? And I'll hold it beyond the stroke in this direction as well. Just grab your trusty eraser and just take that away. All right. Oh, I just noticed another weird random line. I'm sure it's on the line art layer. So grab the eraser tool. Goodbye. And back over to our outline. And we're just about done with this one. Oops. Make sure you get back to the pen tool, by the way. So you hold it like that, that's bad. Let it go. Actually, my line was better in that particular case. And eraser tool. Oops. Make sure you select it. Finish it until you get a nice sharp point at the end there. Alright, so that's that. I think the only element I would do is maybe just something behind it in a deeper gray between the background and the flat color. So this is the background color. Here's that black one. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it effect or effects. And I'm going to play around with adding an effect on here. First things first, I am going to just pick a background color for this effect. I'm going to go a deeper, darker gray for this. Again, it can always be changed. It can be a color. It could be anything you want. For this effect, I'm gonna do maybe like a halftone effect. If you notice, there's in the brush library, there's a whole bunch of different textures and things you can use. Variety of different things. I'm just gonna go halftone. So select the halftone brush at its highest settings for both opacity and size, and I'm gonna go just with my finger, one click. So that's gonna create. Let's see. We'll take everything else off. See, one little complete halftone that I can select and resize. Right? So I can center that bad boy right there. Let's bring everything back on top of it. You know, maybe I like it, maybe I don't. At this point, I don't. Let me just put that in. It is kind of weird. I may do something a little more organic. But about having the effects, I mean, it's cool as you can, obviously you can change the opacity, you can do a bunch of different things with it. Yeah, I'm not loving that. Let's delete that. You know what? Let's go maybe something a little more organic. Plus, by the way, I could have just cleared that last layer. I'm doing these on the fly, so you'll forgive me if I make a few mistakes along the way. What do I want to do for a texture? Let me give it a grunge. How about that? And we'll just paint it in. I'm going to paint a little grunge background in. So again, it's on the effects layer. It's underneath everything, with the exception of the background. And then I'm just going to paint in just a grunge. Actually, I want a bigger brush. The biggest. And let me zoom in so you can kind of see the texture of it. It's got kind of this cool texture. the opacity's down a bit, just about halfway, which allows me to kind of build it up almost like you were painting. Do it kind of light at first, to kind of, and then go back over it, and see how it gets the intensity, and it gets darker, and there's more variance in the stroke. So all that is just a grunge brush. It's in let's see which library. It's in the textures library. But I like the play of the interplay of the grunge, the organic, with the sharpness of the graphicness of the image. Actually, I kind of like a little more than I thought I would. And then I just make sure the center is pretty intense and the outer edges are kind of faded off. So I kind of like that, just the way that is. I could maybe play around with the intensity of it. There's a bunch of different effects you can do. I like to go again back to my little magic wand, use saturation brightness, and I'll play around with the brightness. You can go that way, or you can go the opposite. You can go dark. So just a touch darker. I don't want it to be too tonal. I want, by tonal I mean I don't want everything to be the same tone, same medium tone. And I think adding that outer outline will allow it to pop from just about anything I put behind it. But so there you go. Yeah, that's pretty close to there for me. I mean, I didn't want to over render this, so I've got it like this, and I feel like I am done. So click off of that. Here are all our layers. We can join them, merge them, we can do whatever we want, but we don't have to. And here is our culinary image. Alright guys, so that is my contribution. Hopefully you guys got a lot of tips and tricks on how I kind of move around. Some of the mistakes and some of the flubs notwithstanding, it's the basic way I do work in this, and it's one path. There are many different ways to do it. That is mine. Feel free to experiment and try your own. Feel free to comment and let me know what you think and what your ideas are. And you might have a different approach that is better than mine, and I'm willing to add on at any point. So anyways, so here's my culinary thing. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. And of course, sketchyGOichie, live your moment. Happy sketching, y'all. Peace.